You're listening to Life with Herpes, and this is episode 32. Hey guys, really funny. I was cracking up after I went back and recorded this. I was quoting a book in this podcast by Tony Robbins, and I was saying it incorrectly. So it is called Unshakable by Tony Robbins. So you can just giggle when you hear me call it the wrong thing when you're listening to this podcast. So I just wanted to tell you this really quick before I cue it on over. But yeah, it's Unshakable by Tony Robbins. Great book. You should read it. Unshakable. I have it in the show notes. All right. I'm going to cue it over, and thanks for tuning in. Hello, my friends. It is your host, Alexandra Harbushka, and I'm excited to be here with you. We are talking about Life with Herpes. So welcome to the Life with Herpes podcast. And today's podcast was really on a whim for me. I normally set aside time to record podcasts, spend time ahead of time prepping for them and getting them ready. And today I was in the car listening to an Audible and a Tony Robbins Audible book. It's called Unbreakable. It has nothing to do with herpes, but it's a great book if you're interested in learning in financial freedom and how to handle your finances and how to save and put away and what separates people from being, living paycheck to paycheck or having extreme wealth. So anyways, that's what I was listening to today. And I was like, he was talking about money, and I was like, I need to talk about this that has to do with herpes. So before I get into it, I want to make sure you're a part of our community, our free community. And it's Facebook group, emails, some cool ebooks, the 9 home remedies to help you prevent your outbreaks, and the 5 things I wish I would have known about herpes. So I wrote them both and put my heart and soul into them. So head on over to lifewithherpes.com to download them, get them. I also have, because you guys are podcast familia, guess I have a special promo code for my crisis toolkit. So I'm going to talk about that at the end of the podcast. So let me get to what I was talking about and what I was thinking about in the car today. I immediately got home, took a shower, and was like, I have to hop on and I got to record this right now. So again, Tony Robbins in his book Unbreakable, he was talking about money, and he goes, what has happened especially with millennials, and, depending on what demographic or what age range you're in, if you lived through the Great Depression or you're a child of the Depression, that's one thing. The millennials, obviously we suffer. I'm a millennial. I suffered, or I don't think I suffered, but anyways, I personally, I struggled, but I wouldn't say I suffered. But in the 2007, 8, 9, there were so many of us that I lost my job. So definitely I went through it, and, how am I going to get paid? That whole thing. I went through that whole phase. But, one of the things he talks about is people now are so scared to invest their money because they saw what happened in 08, 09 when the stock market just absolutely went flatlined, right? And never in history had it ever been so low. And I think that was in 2008. I may be wrong. It could be 2009. So don't quote me on that. But he said that it scared people into investing. And he's like saying, guys, you have to invest in order to make money. The number one way to ensure that you do not lose your money, guarantee you're not going to lose your money if you don't invest it. And so I was sitting there, I was like, oh, it's so true. There's a possibility that if you invest your money, you could lose it all. And there's a possibility, but if you don't invest it, you're not going to lose it and you're not going to make money. So you're definitely not going to lose your money, but you're also not going to make any money. And that's the reason why you invest in the stock market or the indexes or whatever it is, however you invest, whether it's real estate, whatever. Obviously, we're not here to talk about investments. So as I started thinking, well, because of the stigma, there's so many levels of the stigma with herpes, right? And based on the numbers of people that have herpes, 75 to 80% of the population have the HSV1 or HSV2 virus. You're guaranteed to come in contact with the herpes virus, whether it is through a friend that you share something with, it's oral, whether it's, you share something in close proximity, or, a family member kisses you as a child, or whether it is sexually through a romantic relationship, chances are you're going to come in contact with herpes, right? And so when I thought about how Tony Robbins was like saying in his book, well, you're guaranteed not to get it or guaranteed not to make money if you don't invest, right? Like, it's guaranteed. You're not going to lose it. You're not going to make it. And I thought to myself, it just clicked in my mind with herpes. Basically saying, if you have sex, you're pretty much guaranteed, to come into contact with herpes. So then it dawned on me, and I was like, so why do we have such a stigma? Why? Why is there such a stigma if guaranteed to live life, like just living life, you're going to come in contact with the virus? So why are we creating such a stigma? The only way not to come in contact with the herpes virus is to go and be a hermit, never have any human contact, and just go out there and be a hermit and just live alone, right? Well, that's not fun. That's kind of the same thing as saying, well, you have your money and storing it between your mattress doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the economy. You're not gifting it away. You're not giving it away. You're not employing people. It doesn't help anybody at all, right? So by going and being a hermit, yeah, you can guarantee you're not going to get herpes because you would just be by yourself. But what type of a life is that? So it's like it continued to process in my mind again while I'm driving, and I'm like, gosh, I can't wait to tell my podcast. I got to get on and I got to record this. That because I talk about in past podcasts or past episodes, one of the things I've been really adamant about and saying, just because I've heard so many times, so many questions, and people think that, well, if you don't have an outbreak, you can't pass the virus. And that's really one of the biggest misconceptions. And I'm really, really fired up about people understanding how the virus gets transferred. If you have herpes, you are always at risk of transferring it to a sexual partner or somebody that you are in close contact with. So as I continued thinking this through, what I don't want, here's what I don't want. I never want you to feel ashamed. I never want you to feel like you're a leper, you have the scarlet letter, you're a stigma, you're dirty, you're horrible, you deserve this, of course you did this, and whatever it is, and that's why you have herpes. I never want you to feel like that, because that is absolutely irrelevant to the virus itself, right? So I don't want you to feel like you're different or you are walking around with this huge stigma. I do want you to know all you can know about it so that you can prevent outbreaks and so you can prevent passing it to future people, to people that you love. And most importantly, I want you to have sex, okay? I want you to get into romantic relationships. Life is short. Enjoy it. Absolutely enjoy. You can still have herpes and have sex and have a beautiful relationship with somebody. an absolute beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relationship with somebody and do everything possible to prevent passing it to that person and enjoy and have fun. And it went back to this whole thing, investing. Tony Robbins was talking. He's like, guys, if you just put your money in, I'm not going to say what he did because I'm not licensed, and you have go read the book. But basically, just put your money and let it go, and not try to move it and shift it and trade it and up and down, and just put it in there and save. It's not what you make; it's what you save, and just save it. Chances are you're going to be fine. Well, take that same analogy. You're still going to have sex. You should have sex. You deserve, it's a part of our anatomy, our life, our physiology. It is the most beautiful thing in the world, right? So all I'm saying with this is, yeah, you don't want to get herpes or you don't want to pass it to anybody. Yeah, then the sure way to do it is not to have sex. But that's not a realistic way to live life, enjoy life. And if you go down life that way, or decide to live life that way, you end up with resentment. You end up hating life. You end up feeling guilty. You end up with self-sabotage. You end up with all these negative things, opposed to being completely transparent with your lover or lovers, completely transparent, telling them, this is what I have. Here's the statistics. Chances are you probably already have it or have come into contact with it. Let's get you tested to make sure. Let's both get other STD tests to make sure that we're not going to be passing things back and forth, or there's, another third-party STD showing up here. Let's make sure. Here's what I'm going to do to ensure that I don't pass it to you, and whatever works for you, whether it's being on the antiviral, whether it's taking vitamins and minerals, whether you know your body, maybe and using condoms, and whatever your method is to having safe sex, and your partner is aware of it and agrees. And if you're really aware of your body and you go, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm getting an outbreak. I'm sorry, today's not the day. Let's wait a day. Let me just wait a day. I don't want to pass it. And you're that transparent with him or her. That's the beauty. That's the love. That's what makes sex great. That's the intimacy with sex. Sex is just, really, if you think about it, it's just moving your body, right? What makes it special is the intimacy with one, could be more than one person, but in my personal case, it's one person. And it's just that intimacy that you share, and then the connection and the emotions that go with it. So nothing's sexier than being brutally honest and vulnerable and sharing and saying, hey, this is what I have, but it's no big deal at all. Again, I was, Tony Robbins inspired me to have this podcast again. So also, if you are not saving your money, you should be saving your money. 20% would be great. But also enjoy life. It's about loving life, enjoying life. Yeah, you want to ensure you don't pass it, then don't have sex. Clearly, that's the number one way you're not going to pass it, right? But I don't want you to do that. I want you to enjoy life. I don't want you to feel guilty when you are in a relationship or let someone feel more powerful because they don't have it and you do. And so the only reason why they're just being kind and taking you as a pity, or taking one for the team type of emotion. No, not that either. Okay. Looking at what's going on in Facebook groups and things like that, I'm really seeing a lot of self-love and a lot of questions on, will this person still love me once I tell them? Or how do I tell them? Or this person's holding it over my head. So a lot of that's happening, and that really makes me sad. And it goes back to this stigma. Okay, my rant is over. I guess it's not a rant. It's out of passion. It's not a rant. It's passion. I want you guys to, I want you to enjoy life. I want you to love life. It is short. It is beautiful. It is full of pleasures in life. And sex is one of them. And just because you have herpes does not mean you cannot enjoy this part of your life. It is magical. So enjoy it. Yeah, I'm just so passionate about that. All right, so I said earlier in the podcast before I started, sorry guys, I keep walking or moving away from my microphone. My dog is over here like moving around, so I keep wanting to see what she's doing. Anyways, I have the Crisis Toolkit, and as you know, it is basically if you just found out you have herpes, this is great. So if you're listening and you're like, I've had it for years, I'm through my crisis period, great, I'm good, high five. Okay. If you have a friend that is newly diagnosed with it and they're in the oh shit phase, this would be a great thing to refer them to. It's the 101 on everything you need to know, a crisis calmer meditation, the information that just will help you get through the first week. What I have done, because we are in the podcast Familia, I put together a promo code. So when you go to lifewithherpes.com, hit Crisis Toolkit. When you go to buy it, I have a promo code for 50% off. So since we're family, I want to make sure you have this. So enter the promo code podcast. Pretty simple. You're listening to a podcast, the promo code is podcast. All caps. And it will reduce your payment by 50%. So that is huge. I really, really want this community to have access to everything and make it feasible to everybody because I feel so passionate about it. Okay, have an awesome, awesome, awesome rest of your day. Enjoy life. Don't just let your money sit between your mattress. That doesn't help you in any way. Put it into savings, and then same thing. Don't just block yourself off from love and a relationship because you have herpes. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the person that's waiting for you. And love is one of the most beautiful things. And you're just doing a disservice to the entire world by not sharing your love. All right. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.